Good morning, Halifax. Now you all went to Cora for breakfast. Now you will understand how much I am passionate about our brand. And that's also why I could take 2 weeks to talk about it. But this morning, I think they gave me 40 minutes. And on top, I want to give you a recipe, because I don't want you to go back home with just memory of blah, blah, blah. I want to give you a recipe, which is, by the way, my recipe of success, and also the recipe of a very good breakfast. Now, my story. I hope I will not deceive you. You said she's a born leader. I don't think I'm a born leader. Maybe a big mouth to be able to express myself. But I feel I am a fabricated leader, and I will explain you. Why? Because I thought I was an artist. I thought I study. I insist to study, and I remember fighting with my father because I told him I want to do my classical course. You know, in my time, a very long time ago, the people that would continue their study and would study classic and Latin and old ancient Greek, we would call that classical course. I wanted to be a writer, and I knew that I had to study a lot, so to be able to be a teacher and a writer. And I guess leading Lord decide differently. I met this nice, beautiful Greek God, which with no strategy and no planning made me a kid. And then a second and a third one, and went back to his mythology, and I end up with 3 teenagers. No specific specialties to earn my living, no pension, no nothing. And one thing was there, though, and this is what I want to tell you. I never had the reflex, the automatic of saying, well, poor me, I will write myself to the welfare and we'll get a little check, and don't worry, children, we will survive. No. I told my kids, don't worry, mother will find something and we will make it. And I start to go and knock at door. And thanks my Lord, they did not hire me. Bank said that I had too many years of education, because that time they were paying according to the years of education. Another boutique, clothing boutique, I guess they found me not too good at that time. Another place, all over I asked for jobs. And one day, driving my kid to school, I see this little closed snack bar, and a big signs for sale. And Lord sent me the idea, stop there and ask information. Because one thing I knew, to cook, because I'm from Gaspé Coast. And I remember my mother didn't buy anything ready at the store. So she would cook everything. So I know how to cook. And, I had this house. Now it was 6 months, no salary, no nothing. This house that the bank had already sent me 3 letters that they were going to seize it because I couldn't make the payment. And I wanted to buy this snack bar. I said, I will work, and at least I will be able to feed my kids. We'll eat the daily meal. And again, he sent a buyer, and it was $22,000 left between the mortgage and the price I sold the house. And that's the only $22,000 I got in my whole enterprise from the sale of that house. It cost me $20,000 deposit to buy that little snack bar. We fixed it. We brought the dishes from, it was a 29-seat place. We brought the dishes from home, the round table, and it was a huge counter. I was behind that counter, and there I discovered the 2 things that still keeps me going. Remember, my family we were from a poor village, and all what I've been brainwashed, and take care what you tell your children, was We are poor. We are not going to invent the 5-hole button. We are rather made for a small bread, and we shall not expect much from life. Thank God I made a few toasts with that bread. But anyhow, that's another story. The thing I discovered behind my counter, because I was the cook and my daughter was the waitress, is take somebody that has imagination, that had wrote her diary since she's very young, that wrote poetry, that invent all kind of story. Take somebody that was an artist, that wanted to be a writer, and put her behind a counter with food, morning food. At that time, breakfast in that little part of the island of Montreal was bacon and eggs, sausage and eggs, ham and eggs, and Jemima pancake. Wash. I didn't like that. That was not enough. And I start slowly. Creativity, one of the C maybe. Creativity start to express itself in me. When I was married, I was making the clothes of my kids. I was even making the pants of my husband because I knew how to sew, I knew how to knit, I knew. My mother gave me her hands talent. So, put this kind of person behind a counter, I start to do all kind of stuff. I did not invent any new food. I just invent new ways of mixing food and presenting it to customers. So I found a way to express my creativity. I didn't need to write anymore. I had the way to express myself. And secondly, because of that, Joe was coming at the counter and kind of very fast in that little snack bar. Everybody knew that the boss is the cook, and the cook loved to create. So they would ask me all kind of stuff. And when nobody would ask, I would say, Brad, what is your best memory of morning food in your... And he would say, my grandmother used to do this or to do that. And I was trying all those things. And when Brad or Joe or Paul will come the next day, I will present him the plate I did. It was so easy. I was behind the counter. And all the nice men, because it was a working area place, all the nice men, when I would serve them the plate, they would say, Cora, it is so nice. I love you. Second most important thing, I found a way to be loved. Remember, kind of miserable youth, bad marriage. I found a way to be loved. And those are the two elements. Express my creativity, present my stuff, and find a way to be loved. And this is, if I had no more minute, I would tell you this is the story of Cora. It got more, not complicated, but there's more to it because we work in that little snack bar, my children and I work, I think it was 14 months without a day off, and my kids got scared that I would get sick or something. They wanted me to take a day off, and I thought that if I take a day off, they will poison somebody, or the soup will be too thick, the lunch soup will be too thick, and there will be a mouse in the... I don't know. Actually, I didn't trust anybody. I thought only me could do it right. So anyhow, without telling me, they bought me a trip to Paris, and I didn't tell them, but they really made it good. I had a room with a view on Eiffel Tower, and I slept the three first day that I arrived there, because stopping suddenly, I slept. Anyhow, in the plane coming back, I realized that all what we do is we're serving 75, 80 customers a day, which seems very busy at that time. We do money to pay all our bills, but heaven's sake, we cannot do more. The store is full all the time. How are we going to be able to do more, to progress? It's hardly enough for our bill. So first time in my head, in that plane, I got the idea that they want me to get off the store. They think they can run the store. I'll leave them there, and we'll make another one. So I came back, And I start to look for another place. And I made that second place. And in that second place, I discovered the most powerful thing. I discovered that I could recreate the same success than in the first one, the first lineup, the first store, which was not the store. And then it went very fast, because after this second store, I had said, well, now I could do it another time, and then each kid would have a store, and then we could expect to be somehow okay. I would keep the small one, the first one, because I don't have many needs. And I reached 9 stores. And this girl that came in the store, and she told me, I want to have a Cora, we call it Cora, but I don't want to be partner with you. I had 9 stores, 4 with my kids and 3 more with strangers because I ran out of children. And I had somebody partner that would operate the store, and myself, I was in one store creating the menu, and teaching in the kitchen everybody. So that girl, she says, I don't want to be partner with you. My boyfriend is in construction. He's going to build a store. You're going to teach me how to do, and I'll pay you every month. Intellectual that I was, I did not understand that. I say, it's impossible. She says, Madam, you think there's a Ronald McDonald in every McDonald's? We call that a franchise. But me, what I remember, she will build a store. We don't need to wait to open the next store, that we save money and put everything, and we negotiate a place where they would want to sell to us, but with a little cash and a balance of sale. She would build a store. We would teach her, and she will pay me every month a royalty that she says at the time I didn't know what it was. So thanks, Lord, that I was an intellectual, and I went at the library for a week after work, and I read everything about franchising. And I realized that franchising would be the best thing to help me to fight that terrible sickness that I caught working so much. I got sick. I got totally sick, which I call that sickness entrepreneurial. Yeah, I'll explain you why. I did the 3rd store, and then I did the 4th one, and I realized that all what I was interested in is the next store. My kids would tell me, Mother, we opened that store. You're never happy. Be happy. It's going well. They're all going well, the 4th store. And you only think, where's going to be the 5th one? They still tell me that today. We have 131 stores. And I go at the opening, and I take the microphone, and I tell everybody, that's the nicest day of my life, opening of a new store. And we don't cut a ribbon. We break eggs and make an omelet with all the officials there. And then it's all nice, and I take pictures with people. And then they put me in the car to drive me back to the airport. And as I get into the car with the principal of our company, my first question is always the same. Now they answer, and they don't wait the question. Where's the next store? What's the situation? Did we get the permit? Well, it will be open. It's always the next one. Always wanting to go further. That's a huge, incredible, beautiful sickness for somebody in business. Now, of course, we start to sell franchise. And I must say that the only problem we've got since then was to handling the phone, answering the multiple demand. It's a nice problem to have. And of course, as I was saying, Joanne last night, that her husband is starting a new venture in restaurant. There are many challenges in restaurant business. But our main value has always been the best for the franchisee. Because in my research and documentation about franchising, I met the uncle of that girl that asked me the first time for a franchise. And because her uncle, she was educated in franchising because her uncle was Michel Forget. He is an actor, and he also have a network of dry cleaning business. I met him, and he told me, when you are able to make the other person make money, there will always be left money for you. You know, franchising is about making other people make money. And don't worry, money will come for you. Takes time to come, takes a lot of numbers of store, because revenue of franchising is a percentage of sale. So every time you go in a Cora and you give $1 to the owner, she has to send me 5 cents. Can you imagine how much interest we are so they do well? This is the kind of partnership we have. So I guess the rest is history about franchising. We did another store, and with the sickness I had, I was saying franchising will allow me, because with my kids, I thought I would have 4 or 5 stores, the most that we could. And then with franchising, I start to raise the bar to, we could have 15 stores. And when I had 13, I start to say 20. And I had 30 stores, and we had said that it was the maximum in Quebec. I raised it to 45. And at 40 stores, I say it's impossible. It's impossible. We cannot stop. I cannot be out of passion. What's going on? And I start to talk about going into Ontario, which was my next neighbor. And you know how many people try to tell me that English Canadians are not like us, Frenchie, that we love to eat, that our head is here? English Canadian will not, Toronto people will not cross the street for a better product. Those people, they don't eat breakfast. They eat in their car a Tim Horton, a bagel. That's what they do, Cora. You don't know. Thanks God. I am the kind that don't listen anybody than my own opinion. I ask everybody opinions, of course. Sometimes too many. But then I sleep on it, and I listen my little voice that told me that morning, take your car and go to Toronto for a week. And I went to Toronto, and I didn't go in a restaurant first. I went in supermarket, and I saw that they sell bacon, they sell sausage, they sell ham, they sell frozen potato for breakfast, smoothies, and all that stuff. So if Loblaws and all those stores sell those things, it means that somebody at home cooks them. And then I start to go to Golden Griddle and to all those. And I realize that in Ontario, there are many big chains that are concentrate of breakfast. But they don't devote all their life to it. They open till 11 at night. But us, that's all what we do. So automatically, if we work well, we will be the best at it. And that's how I went to Ontario. First store, we opened in Mississauga on Dixie Street. And I remember again, you know when chorale, the people that sings in the back of the room, start to say, oh, Mississauga, it's full of Asian. They don't eat breakfast. They don't eat our kind of food. And yet, after opening, 2 weeks after opening, an Asian magazine, we did the middle of the magazine with all the picture of Cora and writing a Mandarin that we couldn't read. But I took that picture and I photocopy and I put in the office of all my people. The impossible is always possible, you know. So Mississauga brought another one, and anyhow, we end up like in Quebec. We have to do something. We have to go somewhere else. Suddenly, we have, I think, today 45 stores in Ontario. So somebody from Manitoba came to see us, and then we start to go there. And then the most out west surprise was, of course, in Alberta. I'm telling you, there's not only oil in Alberta. There is amazing breakfast customer. And then we say British Columbia. I remember I had gone there a very long time ago, and this is the place I saw the biggest tree in my whole life. Well, this is also the place I'm seeing now the biggest lineup. I forgot to say that in Atlantic Province, we have, I think, 15 or 17 stores, including 2 in Newfoundland. And when I do the opening, and by the way, you all came to a Cora, I will say it again this morning. I only have one word. It's funny. I said I don't thank my Lord, but every time I always say a big, huge thank you to our customer. No customer, no business. And it's not only in franchising, this one. It's in everything. Okay. Now we reach the recipe because I just thought we have the question after. I will give you a recipe, and I know that there's in the room so many people that they don't need a recipe to succeed. They are already succeeding. For those, you will get the other recipe in the same thing, because my recipe of success is exactly the same recipe that the recipe of my crepe. You know the crepe at Cora? Because one day in that little snack bar, it was the first month, I say, yes, powder pancake. I hate that. It tastes like, and there's nothing about the company, but my mother used to mix the ingredient, and she would cook us the crepe, and we would eat with syrup sometimes, but mostly with molasses. I shall do that for our customer in the little snack bar. And I start to do that mix. And from that moment, I start to hear customer, you know. It was the first change that I did from that menu of the snack bar. The huge pancake. We took out the fryer and all the thing, and we bought a little griddle, a second-hand griddle, by the way. And I would put mix, and I would open it, and then a few days after, I start to fill that with fruits, and then with bacon and ham and cheese and stuff. And it was the beginning of Cora's success. So, in honor to my crepe mix, I say, God's sake, it's exactly like my recipe of success. In a big bowl. And of course, the bowl is the university where you are working. It's the company you are in. It's, I don't know, the big company you work for. The bowl is the context. First ingredient, you break a few eggs. And of course, the eggs are creativity. At Cora, as I told you, we reinvent the breakfast, what was breakfast. We change what was there. We ameliorate it. We make it nicer, more tasty. So we had a lot of creativity. I remember I didn't have money to put sign, but people thought it was a genius idea. I draw on the wall the menu at the beginning. Still today, it's on the wall. And people say, oh, it's so much childish. It's so much inviting. I feel home. And I thought with the years, I didn't know at the beginning, but that my draw signs talks to the child in each customer. And that's why it feels good at a Cora. So creativity, don't think that you're going to break an egg tomorrow and that's it. I used to say as a good mother hen for my company, you got to lay your egg every morning. And this means Every morning that you wake up, you got to recreate yourself. You are director of sales. Well, tomorrow morning, breaking your eggs will be to look at you in the mirror and telling yourself that today you are going to be the best sales director ever been. Always ameliorate yourself, recreating, and never never do just what others do. If you open a restaurant and you copy what's going on the other street, why people would come to you? It already exists. Be different. And to be different means don't be shy to take out what's unique in you. This is creativity. I know we'll end up talking about leadership, but the first act of a true leader is to unfold the uniqueness of his touch, of who he is, and not be scared. What are they going to think about me what other people think about you is none of your business. Your business is to be unique in what you do. Don't be scared. Surprise people. If you always go the way you always went at the office with the always there attitude, nobody will remark you. Try it. The second ingredient, you put the eggs in the big bowl, and the second ingredient is not beige, gray, or any other mushy color. The ingredient is white. White, strictly white, like focus. You know, and maybe it's the biggest ingredient. My 5 ingredients are so important, but focus, you know what? And when I say focus, my dear, I say rigorous focus. If you are studying, there's a lot of universities here, to become a leader, don't you get distracted by literature course or dancing lesson or I don't know what else. Have a rigorous focus in what you're heading as a goal. So many people, they told us, it's going so well, your store, why don't you open for dinner? Yeah, maybe we could. But our focus was breakfast because I strongly believe that you cannot be the best in everything. And what you focus on, grow. So put your eggs in the bowl and put milk and mix that together. And you will be surprised what will happen. Of course, you need to put the third ingredient. And the third ingredient, nobody likes it. This morning, you had muffin, Danish, croissant. Anybody of you thought about the flour that was inside your pastry? Nobody, eh? Who thinks about the flour when they eat a nice pastry? And yet, the flour is the main ingredient of the pastry. So in your bowl, where you have your eggs and milk, and of course you have a whisk, you put flour. And flour is work. If they teach you somebody, an illuminated at the university tells you that it's easy, don't believe him. Work is essential for the business. And not only, I work 9 to 5. When you're in business, your office is in your head. So you're always on the job. This is how it happened. And if somebody tells you the contrary, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Work and work and work like your life depends on that work. I know it doesn't show today. I ate a nice meal yesterday. I slept, and it doesn't show that we work. And actually, to be honest, My son is the president now, and I don't work as I used to. But still, work is essential. And one girl, I was in a speech one day, and I said that, and she raised the hand. She didn't wait the period question, and she told me, Madam, I was working in Bell Canada for 25 years, like a slave. And I ended got the courage to resign. And I opened my little business, and it's certainly not to work like a crazy. When did you open? She told me 2 months ago. Could we talk in 9 months to see what the baby will look like? If you're not decide to work. But you see, the fifth ingredient will make the work easy. The fourth ingredient, after the eggs, the milk, and the flour that you mix with your whisk, the fourth ingredient is the salt, a little dash of salt. And the salt, salt, you eat too much salt, blocks your artery, no good for your health. The salt means the doubt. A little doubt. Put a little doubt every day in your life that maybe you're not perfect. Maybe there's a better trick to learn. Maybe the next book you read will be a quote that you need. Don't take yourself for granted. We say in French, don't sit on your laurel. I was about to lie down on my laurel after 8-9 stores. And the first official copy of my concept woke me up dramatically. I was so mad, and now I bless that lady. She worked for us 1 year, she left, and she opened a copy of Cora. And now, every single morning, when I talk to myself in the mirror, one of my recreation is be even better, because what I did till now, they copy it. So I got to go further. We need to reinvent ourselves all the time. So now it's like a cruise control. Competition is not a bad thing. Makes you go further, makes you recreate yourself all the time, finding new stuff, finding recipe they cannot copy, finding secrets they cannot adapt. And the fifth ingredient is you. Fifth ingredient is commitment. Fifth ingredient is passion. Fifth ingredient, it's what makes you work 12 hours and like it, because you are in your element. And I see a lot of young people in the room. And if you're engaged in what you are engaged right now because it pleases your father or your mother or your uncle or I don't know who, and you hate it, please resign and go and follow your passion. Because if we're not passionate about what we do, work is so terrible. I guess because I did not experiment that. I have been blessed to be right away passionate about using food to create. And that's why everybody was telling me, Cora, you work too much. You're always at work. My kid complain, everybody complain. That's why I kind of thought that I work a lot. But myself, even if I would work 12 hours, being the cook, I would go to bed, and what I was thinking about is, what kind of new soup I will do tomorrow to surprise my customer at lunch. You see, passion. Did you remark that for each ingredient, I did not tell you quantities. I didn't tell you 2 eggs. I didn't tell you 1 cup of milk or 5 cups of flour. It's because of the fifth ingredient. You are the master of the quantity. This is leadership. Knowing that from now on that you start in business or in the endeavor that you are in, your salary is the profit of what you're doing, the result of what you're doing. Leadership also expresses itself when you talk to you in the mirror. You think it's easy every day to put the apron and the white clothes and to go and be on your feet? Actually, I have a broken knees now, not from the accident, but from my passion. I bless it. I don't have meat in between the two bones. And they say that I'm too young for operation, so later. But you know what? Because of those so many years and stand up in the floor of the kitchen, I never realized I was difficult. I loved it every minute. Passion. But there was days when, especially at the beginning, at the beginning was difficult because I couldn't pay my whole case of coffee. I had to negotiate with everybody because I start with no money. So to trust me, thanks God my big mouth was mashing words like the machine that mashed potato, you know. Many times it happened in the morning, I would need to negotiate with myself. One more day. I don't feel to go, but I'll go another day, and I'll go another day, and I'll go. There was always a reason that would attract me to go to work. You know, I have to train Sébastien. I think he has talent. He will be a good cook for us. That's my day off. Now, after 10 years, I had a day off. But now I will take that day to train Sébastien because I saw his potential. Every day negotiating with yourself to go another day and another day. I'm sure, you know, the birds, when they go to hot countries, you see them, and there's one in front. I know they use this picture for leadership. You will tell me when I reach question, eh? Okay. That bird there, I'm sure he is somewhere in the bunch of birds, and he talks to himself, and he said, I'll go in front. This is leadership. Say yes to go in front. Say yes to take the responsibility of yourself. Say yes to your potential. I did not have that. I did not have nothing of that. That's why I'm not a born leader. I'm a fabricated leader. The business fabricated me. That's why I put my son president. I'm in love with my job. I thought they would take me out of the office in a box. But one day my son told me I could be president. And when I hear that, I realized that my baby was a man. And I gave him my job. So he has the chance of fabricate him as a great leader. So this company, when I'll be trembling at 95, will have a great leader. And my son, which we never spoke about United States, my son declared in an interview 2 months ago that by 2014, we will have a first store in United States. That's it. That's a beginning of leadership in him. Thank you very much. First question. That's it? No time for...
Okay. Stay with me. Stay with me. We have people circulating. If you have some questions. Cora, my goodness. Madame Cora is how I first met you. I think that's how you go in your home province. How does one respond to the passion of this woman? And passion being just one of the words that I wrote down when I was listening to you. And the messaging she's giving us today about passion, imagination, creativity, core values, your inner voice, listening to and trusting your inner voice, and core talk, self-talk, rather. The fact that competition is a beautiful thing. I like to say that as well. It is a beautiful thing. And the impossible is always possible. And one thing you don't mention, but which you certainly exhibit, is your humor. and which is amazing. And I thank you for that, because
Thank you.
I think that makes it so much more able to relate to us as individuals who are in the audience. Love your recipe as well. Very good. And one final thing, you know, a year ago, this community, and I'm sure lots of communities across Canada, were all preparing for the H1N1 virus, and we're all preparing of how we might avoid that. And thank you, Brad. How we might avoid that becoming an epidemic in our community. I think we need to take the reverse approach to your beautiful sickness, you called it, of entrepreneuria, where we could get all of us to catch a good dose of that passion and excitement and creativity, and hopefully it'll be long living within all of us. Here's kind of a personal question.
Go ahead.
How did you learn to trust others to recreate your passion?
Good question. When I came back from that Paris trip, no customer was poisoned, everything was going good, no complaint. Our customer count was there, and they even did a few more customers than our statistic. And slowly, I realized that we cannot do nothing by ourselves alone. If you want to grow, you have to trust. I explained that in my business book. And trusting somebody is also accepting, before he does them, his mistakes. You know, trust is not something you learn at the university. There is no technique to trust. If there were, it's examining the situation. Trust is a mental decision. I trust you until I don't trust you. So give your trust. The guy that does the contabilité, my Jewish account guy, you trust your son. He's not a good president like you. I mean, he's not bad. I see him with you. He's with you since the beginning. But is he a good president? I don't know. I give him my trust. Get that? It's a mental decision of deciding to trust. And it's a good decision if you want to grow.
Thank you. I have lots of questions here, Cora. As a student fresh out of university, what advice would you give me to get myself discovered?
Run after your passion. I don't think university is a passion. It's a place to learn and then go in the real life and find what you are interested in it. And discover yourself is, don't settle for what you see. Don't drink only orange juice. Squeeze some other fruits.
I love the food analogies. We can certainly all relate to that. Reflecting on your experience, what would you advise leaders to do more of, or maybe less of, to add to their success?
More of. Well, one day I discovered that in my business, if they could not make it without me, I was not a good leader. A good leader, I think, today good leader, is a leader who is not necessary to the company. We had the mission, we wrote it down, everybody knows it. 25 years, we shot the culture to them. They saw us how to act. So I think that a good leader is not indispensable. How you call that? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good advice. We should all remember that. None of us are indispensable.
Trust. Let them do without you. I say that, and it's not an easy type thing, but
yeah. We have more questions in time, but I will have to wrap up with this final one, which is kind of a fun one. What do you want to do when you grow up, Cora?
Well, after I gave my son the famous chair. I confess, for a few months, I think I took 25 years of age because I start to feel nothing. I start to feel that I didn't have nowhere to go because I'm a so powerful person that I avoid to go at the office a while so he could take over. I even went to China to go away from my love. And when I came back, you know, there's a rule in our company that anybody that would spend $500 needs an approval from the controller that would tell me and blah, blah, blah. When I came back, my son had bought a $500,000 restaurant. This is symbolic, guys, but it's a big lesson for me. It's like he told me, I take the decision now, mother. So I had a little down, morning power, staff, and all this, and suddenly, I said it last night, I realized I was Cora. I was the owner of a great company. I named a president. It's going well. Let's continue other stuff so I can continue my business conversation. And thanks God, somebody asked me to be on his board, the Jean Coutu Drugstore Company. Great experience for me. People ask me for speech. I mentor young people. I'm still dancing. And that made me not regain my normal age, but brought me 25 years younger. Yeah. That's it.
Very nice. Thank you. That's a great
Pleasure.
way to end. Thank you.